I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes, the answer is yes. And I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from her. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as four siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
My dad loves cow
My
brain.
sister always got it, or my dad.
The fight over the brain.
The fight over the brain. Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up those football gods. Wake up, guys. Wake up. You know, it is the quiet time. Shh. It's very, very quiet time in the NFL right now. It is dead zone, okay? It's hard out here to be really hard out here to be a pimp. Here's what's funny. Everybody always says Cowboys need to move on from Dak Prescott, including all the talking heads. If the Cowboys were to move off from Dak Prescott, it would literally be cutting their throat. I would say over the last 3 weeks, the biggest topics for the talking heads have been Dak Prescott, the developmental quarterback, because Brian Schottenheimer made a little joke right there. You remember that, right? Seems like a lifetime ago, but that was just like 2-3 weeks ago. And Dak Prescott being quoted as saying he wants to win championships. That happened last Thursday, and everybody has done a spot on Dak Prescott win the Super Bowl. Apparently nobody else wants to, or nobody else says it, only Dak Prescott. So moving on from Dak Prescott, of course, would end up being, what would they talk about? What would anybody talk about if it wasn't for the Dallas Cowboys? Let's be clear here. We got a month before training camps open up. It's hard out here to find content to talk about because everybody's kind of checked out. But here's where here's a little nice take here. The boys at Pro Football Focus, skill, they name Mazi Smith on the #1 Dallas Cowboys make or break season. Will he become a bust like Tristan Hill or Taco Charlton? Or will he turn it around? Now, here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. Statistics, you can prove almost anything with between the type of way you use the numbers, between mean, mode, modulation, and some mean, median, mode, and modulation. If you're taking statistics in college, you understand what I'm talking about. And with Mazi Smith, they had, in Pro Football Focus, 219 defensive tackles. And for the first part of the season, Mazi was 219. By the end of the season, it was 207. By all means, this is not where you want to have a guy in your first-round draft pick at 207. But what we saw improvement as the season went on, as well as the Dallas Cowboys defense. If you remember, our defense was so bad that literally we could not force a punt in 2 games. Everybody ran roughshod over, and it wasn't just Mazi Smith. It was the whole defense. You know, the Cowboys did themselves a disservice with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer had been checked out of football and really didn't have his heart into this thing. He came in and kind of said, I'm just going to leave things where they are. I don't want to, rock the boat, and didn't really gravitate and grab a hold of this thing. the Dallas Cowboys as a whole did a disservice to the whole team and organization by having everybody on a last year. What the Cowboys honestly should have done, instead of doing what they did last year, maybe it was the plan of, we're going to rebuild and we're just going to make these guys the sacrificial lambs. We're just going to go ahead, not sign anybody, clear up our books, and we'll let these guys suffer through it, as opposed to firing them all, bringing in a new staff, and having them suffer through it. We'll let them take the lumps for us to get better, because that's about the only thing that makes sense. Is they said to themselves internally, even though Jerry was saying we're all in, we're going to take our lumps now. We're going to take the pain now. We're just going to say, Dak, listen, we'll get you somebody next year. Micah, understand, we're not getting any help right now. We don't have money. We've been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. We're going to have some pain right now so we can be in a better position going forward. It's the only thing that makes sense. And the problem for Mazi Smith is he went from Dan Quinn, who does not like big fat guys, and basically said, you need to be able to rush the quarterback, and took the one thing that he did extremely well, being a fat guy, plugging the middle. He goes from 330 plus to the 290s. Doesn't know how to use his body. It's not the same thing. Then, boom, after his rookie year of basically being kind of kicked to the side, you have now a coaching staff that's on one-year deals that are working with him and having to admit, we're starting all over with this guy. And he was at 219. But as the season went on, Mazi was playing pretty good going down the stretch. He ended up dropping. So there's guys worse than Mazi Smith out there. He ended up getting down there to 207, which means he was playing at a better level than 207 to change that average. By all means, is he where you want him to be as a number one draft pick? No. The problem now is this is his third season and his third defensive coordinator. I expect him to continue to progress. If you understand what it means to be a nose tackle, it is one of the most difficult places to play. If you're a right tackle or left tackle, pretty much everything's coming from the inside. When you're a nose tackle, you have to have your head on a swivel. Your head is literally a football length away from the center. Every single play, you're getting hit in the head, helmet to helmet. You might be shaded a little to the left, shaded a little bit to the right, but you're right there. You're getting hit by the center. You're getting hit by the guard. You're getting hit by the guard and the center. You're getting hit by this guard. You're getting a tackle that'll come down sometimes and pull and hit you. You'll get a tight end in motion that at snap of the ball, you don't even see it coming, does a wham block on you. And your job is not to get any glory. Your job is there solely to hold the line. Occupy. Take that double team and don't let them move you out of the point of attack. And keep that guard from hitting the linebacker, because those guys are the guys that get all the tackles. Those are the guys that get all the glory. And in pass rushing, just get a little penetration, get a little push in the middle, so that way the quarterback can't step up. And typically what happens is defensive tackles, interior defensive tackles, take years to really get used to playing. It's usually like the first 3 or 4 years that you're just getting used to playing in the NFL. Year 5 to about 5 to 8 is usually where you start perfecting it and really becoming a beast. And then after that, most defensive tackles, interior ones, you'll see playing well into their 30s at elite levels, because it's one of those positions that take time. So here's what Pro Football Focus had to say. Dallas run defense was a sleeve last year, posting the second worst Pro Football Focus grade, run defense grades in the NFL. One reason for that has been its struggle a former first-round pick, Mazi Smith. Now, I'm going to point out that the Cowboys have had problems with run stopping before Mazi, who earned a lowly 30 Pro Football Focus run grade across his first 2 seasons, in which the 9th worst ranking in tackles who have played at least 200 run plays in defense. Yeah. Perhaps new defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus can unlock something we have yet to see from Smith. If Smith can figure things out this season, though, it wouldn't be surprising to see him playing elsewhere in 2018. Well, that's true about anybody. You could say that about Diggs right now. Diggs, who was all-pro a couple of seasons ago, got a $97 million contract. You could say that this is a make-or-break season for Diggs, who definitely has fallen out of favor. So I'm not so sure that what we get is always, earth-shattering news. The reality is anybody can be moved. Anybody can be moved. But I still have hope for Mazi Smith. I look at him and I see his body seems to be transforming, not to the 290 range, but he seems to be quicker. And the thing I liked about Mazi was watching him in training camp last year, first guy out on the field like a sponge working with the coach, and the last one to leave. So I don't have as many worries about him going forward. I think he's going to become a very good player for us in the NFL. The other question we have here is we still have some worries with the run-stopping ability. I would not mind seeing us doing more work and bringing in, and that's possible because the Cowboys have a propensity to bring in guys in training camp, especially defensive linemen. One other person that I still think is possibly in the mix would be Stephon Gilmore, because the Cowboys have some questions still at cornerback. You know, there was the report that there was a setback of Savon Ravel, which turns out to be not true. But you're still having a guy who probably will start out on the PUP list and is a rookie who has not played since September. And are you ready to go through the season with a guy coming off of an ACL with his first action in the NFL? I'm not so sure I want to bank on that. Stephon Gilmore had come in around the draft time for a visit and so on, and is still a free agent out there and a guy I think the Cowboys will sign. So that's where we are, at least at the moment. Like you said, it's the dead time. There's no movement as far as we know, as far as Micah Parsons' contract. We'll see it get done whenever it gets done. It may be one of those things that we just wake up one morning and it's done, and we're all surprised. With the Cowboys, everything has been different this year, completely different. So don't be surprised by anything that they do. We'll finish this off with a little euphoria for the Cowboys.
Deal of all that's expected to get done at some point this summer is from Micah Parsons, who is expected to become the highest paid defensive player in NFL history whenever that deal gets done, and both sides are working to make it happen. It should get done at some point this summer, and it will be a record-setting deal, and it will give the Dallas Cowboys the highest paid player in NFL history in Dak Prescott and the highest paid defensive player in NFL history in Micah Parsons.
You saw Jerry Jones talking to Micah Parsons out there at minicamp. Wonder what they were talking about. Let's go to Dallas now for Cowboys minicamp. Oh, look at the tent there. We got the star on the tent. That's cute. Little campfire. Dak Prescott is there. He's healthy finally, as you see him right there on the field. This from today. Now with another star receiver across from CeeDee Lamb, the George Pickens edition, with a new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, figures to bolster this offense. Here's more from Dak on the receivers.
It's valuable CeeDee being here. I mean, it's hard to even put in comparison him being here, the work we're able to get versus last year, versus him under the contract negotiations. But just to have him here, having these practices, getting off to a good start, understanding each other, what we're trying to accomplish, has been monumental. And then obviously adding GP, something that's been monumental. And I've said it before, when you bring in guys like that, talented guys I've played with over the years, that you look at their resume and they're winning, I mean, that's credit to them. They make that process of me getting to know them that much easier. They know how to get separation. They know how to win at the ball. For me, it's just about learning their bodies and just making sure communicating a few things for them.
Dak just spoke moments ago. Todd Archer, our Cowboys reporter, is out there at minicamp as well. Todd, what stood out to you about watching Dak in this Cowboys offense now with these new additions?
Yeah, Laura, a couple things. Really, over the entire offseason, a lot more shifts, motions, things we hadn't seen from the Cowboys offense, and then speed. George Pickens talked about that on Tuesday. There's speed everywhere that can open up this scheme. Last year, the Cowboys had just 47 pass plays of 20 yards or more. Compare that to 2 years ago, and they had one of the best offenses in the league when they had 64 passes of 20 yards or more. And now remember, Prescott missed the final 9 games last year with that hamstring injury. He's been out there the entire time this offseason. Looks good. He and Brian Schottenheimer really look to be gelling on Wednesday. Dak had 5 touchdown passes in team and 7-on-7 drills. But let me get back to the receivers. At the end of this month with Dak, they'll go on their summer retreat that they've taken here lately. They'll work out, they'll run, they'll do everything together, get to know each other. And that takes on more importance this year because Lamb is around and Pickens is new. So by the time the Cowboys get to Oxnard for training camp, they expect to be fully on the same page 100%.
Yeah, it's a good point. CeeDee Lamb, of course, going through the contract stuff last year, so wasn't around as much with Dak. You heard Dak referencing that as well. Thanks so much to Todd Archer, the latest from Cowboys camp, which is wrapping up today. Now, we know the Cowboys struggled last season without Dak Prescott under center, but they weren't exactly thriving when he was healthy either. In the first 9 weeks before Dak's injury, the Cowboys still ranked in the bottom half of the NFL in scoring. They also ranked 22nd in yards per play, 24th in expected points added. They had 7 more turnovers than their opponents. Peter, I love what Todd just said about shifts and motions that they're seeing in this Cowboys offense. Hey, we've been begging for some of that creativity. When you look at this offense, how much improvement do you expect next season?
I also love to hear what Todd had to say about Dak having both of those receivers there in June, and then of course they'll have time together this offseason and they'll hit the ground running come training camp. Look, the stuff that I look at is George Pickens and what he's available to do, and what he came early every single day to this minicamp, showed up, performed, and to hear Dak talk about it just minutes ago saying, GP has been phenomenal. That's the term he said. Here's the quote from Dak. I'm just super excited that he's on our team. He's one of us, and he's our brother now. He's all about continuing to grow and making sure he's putting the best out there, and that's his approach. Remember, guys, 24 years old. He's had his reputation dragged through the mud. You heard about him being late for practices, late for games, and being a sore spot in that Steelers locker room. He can reverse that entire narrative, become a free agent, and hit the absolute jackpot if he is just on his best behavior and he does what he can do. Look, the stuff you've been hearing about George Pickens goes all the way back to his University of Georgia days. He hasn't been able to put it all together, but he's had a perfect spring with the Cowboys since arriving. Can he keep it going?
You know,
Can he keep it going?
Reverse his reputation and hit the jackpot. That's how we got Peter Schrager here at ESPN. So I'm all for it. Whenever you have.
All righty, good people. Enough of that. As always, I appreciate you guys, and we will, if anything happens, bring it to you. Peace out.